All right, everybody, welcome to another Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth. Jason Bristol, Jeremy Booth with a new background. Looking good, Jeremy. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. We are streaming live on Twitter via StreamYard. So if you have any questions while we're progressing along with this podcast, please leave your comments below and we'll take them as we go. On today's show, I think one thing that we have to talk about is this report about a possible, or not possible, but a meeting between the players and owners on Thursday. On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your level of optimism that some real progress could be made tomorrow, Jeremy?
Two. I mean, I think it's been, quiet. I think it's been, wait and see who's going to make the first call. I mean, clearly, Major League Baseball has a proposal. At least they want something they want to discuss, and the players need to answer the phone. So it's interesting to see how far they're going to go. We'll find out more, or we may not find out more when it's all done. But, man, I don't have a whole lot of optimism in Major League Baseball stepping to the plate with what they should come with just yet. I don't really have a good feeling about that. I think that's going to take a while. But I think that both sides realize that they need to get spring training started on time if at all possible. So it's good that on January, I guess it's 13th tomorrow, January 13th, that they'll at least have another meeting.
Tonight is actually a very interesting anniversary here in Houston sports. Do you know what it is? 1 year ago today, James Harden sat behind a mic after a game and just said, I've done everything I can. It's just we're not good enough. And blah, blah, blah. And then walked off. And the Rockets have never been the same since.
James Harden was the reason I stopped being a season ticket holder. When I left the Mariners, or was no longer a Seattle Mariner, and I went into was beginning the early stages of this. As you know, I was a Rockets season ticket holder. Excellent seats, man. I mean, half court and 14th row up, and it was, perfect. And I've loved going.
I've heard. I never experienced it, but I've heard.
But
really
you were aware. Okay. Well, in any event, Harden, shot 200 times a night. I mean, the Astros. The Rockets didn't win anything, and I went further into any other sport but the NBA, which is a shame because I grew up a Laker fan, and I grew up with Showtime Lakers, and then Shaq and Kobe in my late teens and early 20s, and you turn into the Rockets, and man, the Rockets are always a fun basketball team to watch, and then you got to watch that. So it's better to rebuild and start over, I guess, and have James Harden, jacking up that many shots in Game 6 of the conference finals.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think that James Harden with that current leftover cast certainly wasn't going to work. But anyhow, I'm at about a 2 as well as you. I'm wondering, obviously, this is like the beginning of a fight, like a championship fight in boxing. They're going to be feeling each other out. I think we're still in that phase right now of feeling each other out. And I think we're still a long way to go. There's still a long way to go before there's some real progress made. And spring training is typically about a month away, and I don't have a real good feeling that it's going to start on time.
I think that if it's up to the players, they'll start on time. I think that the players, however, as evidenced by today's announcement with a batting cage chain, and today's some other announcements that they have and things they're working on, are more invested in getting the right deal done this time, and they are starting spring training on February 15th. I think that's important to them. I think it's got to be important to them. It's about the health of the game. It's about the fan engagement who understands what's going on. It's about work-labor relations. Look, this is a unique industry, right? If you think about this for a second, it's entertainment like movies or anything else. Nobody is buying a ticket to watch these analysts put together WOBA. It's not happening. Nobody's looking at FIP and going, man, I got to go watch how these guys do it. Like 70,000 people, 60,000 tickets, selling things out, media everywhere. Not happening. But they are watching what happens on the field. And so these guys are an entertainment product. It's different. The balance of what should happen as far as how the revenue should be divided is different. You and I talked a couple of days ago about some things that I would do. You know, the owners wouldn't do it. I don't know if it works for the players, but it's a starting point, right? So, you know, the owners are not going to come with what they need to, and the players are dug in to get the right deal, and they should be.
That's a good tease, though, that you mentioned the things that you brought up to me. I don't think you're ready to basically give those out right now. That is, am I correct about that?
I mean, they're my opinion. They're my spitballing when we do these things and mine alone. It's not like I heard this from anybody else, you know.
Oh, okay.
It's something that I came up with, and I'll throw this out there just for fun and one liner.
Since you mentioned it a little bit, I think
it's like that side in the ribs, you know, like quit
whet people's appetite.
Right. So if you are if you're the players and you're the owners, again, entertainment industry, nobody's showing up to watch the owners own, and I mean 0 people. If that's what you're doing, you know, the owners have expenses. They have far more expenses than the players do. The players show up and they draw a paycheck. It's a sizable paycheck, and it should be, but they draw a paycheck. When you're talking about percentages of what it is, the owners have far more expenses to bear. So what if, and this will never happen, okay? But what if the owners showed up and opened their books entirely and said, look, this are all the expenses. This is what it is. This is the profit. Before we pay anybody, including the players, we're going to go ahead and we're going to show you all the expenses it takes with the Major League Stadium, all the revenue deals, everything we have. This is 100% its entirety. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to split, let's say, the profit margin, the net, after all of the expenses are met. Players would get a share, owners would get a share. The problem we've got is that the owners would be fighting, and the players too, and the owners are fighting harder over how much of that net share they're supposed to get. If you just did that and put all the expenses on the table and had some transparency, much like using a consistent baseball all the time instead of changing baseballs around, if you're able to do that, then you probably have at least some place to start and get a real deal done. But they're not going to do that because Major League Baseball benefits far too much by keeping their books closed and nobody knowing what's really going in and going out.
I did think it was a really interesting concept, though, and I told you as much when we were discussing it the other day. But you're right. There's no good reason at all from the owner's side to open up the books and tell people that, listen, we need public money to help us build a stadium, or we're losing money, or whatever. So I agree with you. I think that I think it's a really interesting concept, but in reality, it just will never see the light of day.
First of all, none of these clubs, and I heard a story about one the other day that had the audacity to talk about catastrophic losses. And man, it's a gigantic market, and this particular club has reneged on some of the deals they've had with groups and people, and even people, you know, just across the industry. They've done some things like that. But I've heard, you know, stories. These guys, they're not losing money. At the very least, there's equity in these franchises that has value that continues to rise. The players aren't getting any equity, so you know, and they shouldn't. They're employees. They're employees of these teams, so they're not getting any equity. The owners are getting the equity. The investors are getting the equity. Their memberships are getting the equity. So if they're not making cash, they're gaining value in longevity of business, in sales and dollars that are coming through, as far as a multiple or any kind of EBITDA formula. I mean, business concepts, right? They're making money somehow. So they're not losing any money at all. They may not be making the profits they thought they were going to make. They're not losing money.
As we move on here on Extra Bases, one huge story coming out recently is that the New York Yankees have hired a woman to manage one of their farm clubs, that being Rachel Balkovec. She will manage the Class A Tampa Tarpons, which is the Yankees single A team in the Florida State League. Well, pardon me. What is it now? It's high Class A. What is it? Low A in, well, it was the Florida State League. Do they still call it the Florida State League?
I don't know what they're doing.
It will always be the Florida State League to us.
That's another thing that these guys are doing that makes less than 0 sense.
Yeah, but I think it's low A. It used to be high A, the Florida State League. But anyways, what was your initial reaction when you heard the news?
I treat this the higher in. So the obvious answer that people are going to want to hear is, what do you think about a woman getting this job? Okay. And my answer is that if we're truly in a gender or ethnic, or some people would say the race, race neutral, which I don't like race because we're all humans, and that's the only race I know is the human race. So if we're looking at these things truly and is ethnicity neutral and gender neutral, then I don't care that she's a woman getting this job. It doesn't resonate to me. I care that she can do the job. I care that she has players that respect her. I care that the Yankees put her in a position to be successful because it's not just about her, it's about the players that are going to be with her for the year in Tampa. I care that what it says about their organizational structure, that she was involved in being a hitting coordinator for a year, and now she's a manager. I care about the pathways. I care about the baseball things as a whole, because it's a gigantic job. Now, it's a different type of job than being a coordinator, so there's different things to shape. And there's a lot more in perception. There's going to be a lot more control over her actions and what she's doing from the front office and the farm director, whereas a coordinator and somebody who's in charge with leading the player development of a certain area of the organization, there's a lot more freedom and blue ocean to navigate some things, right? So when you're taken out of that job and put on the field as a manager or a coach, as far as running a team, it probably has something to do more with your skill set, something to do with your leadership ability, which can be seen as a positive, or maybe a better fit for your leadership ability to make you successful. So I don't care that she's a woman. I care that she's able to do the job. I think it's important that she's a woman as a secondary note, because no one's ever done it before, right? The worst thing that can happen is that we make a big deal about her being a woman past saying, wow, she's the first one ever to do it in 2022. It's like having an event series or doing things that eliminates a certain ethnicity by naming it a certain way, right? You don't want to do that because you're being discriminatory, or you're trying to highlight or profit on the fact of somebody's differences, instead of just accepting that we're all people. And so I believe that if she's good enough to do the job, she should get the job. And if she's got the job now, let's see where she goes.
Here's why I think her background really works for this type of position, this type of promotion, if you will. You played professional baseball. Who do players typically have the best relationship with on a staff of a minor league team?
Trainer.
She was a strength and conditioning coach, right?
Yeah.
She was a strength and conditioning coach. And based on what I've seen, that they are typically the people who form the best and strongest relationships with the players. And I think that is a huge benefit to her moving forward down this path, because people will always be questioning the obvious. Not that it's right, or the obvious, which is, oh, she's a woman and does she know baseball and things like that. Well, of course she does. Of course she does. She wouldn't be in this position to begin with. But as we know, knowing baseball doesn't always do the trick. And the fact that her former position as a strength and conditioning coach, including her time with the Houston Astros, I just think that's a huge benefit, because from what I saw and what I've seen with my own eyes, players typically have the strongest relationships with those people. Now, granted, I know there'll be a different dynamic now, but I think I've got to believe she will be drawing on that experience and those experiences moving into this position.
So what I'm going to say here is all those points are very valid. And I think that what we're really talking about is relationships and trust and player buy-in and some of those things, right? And that's not just into her, that's in the organization as a whole and their direction. But this next part is going to be a little bit, we're just going to do it. Her background before the Yankees, and I know she's well educated. Her background before the Yankees was driveline. And the Astros under the previous general manager. I have that correct? Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Neither one of those groups are known for how much baseball they knew, and neither one of those groups are known for being good with people. Zero. Okay. So she made, as far as her skill set of being good with people, great. That's good. That's probably what they want. I would say that the less baseball she knows, in an era where baseball people who have had decades of knowledge on the field of what works and doesn't work, that have had to do things without the benefit of all this technology and all these different ways to find either get themselves to the big leagues or experiment with it or help players get to the big leagues or evaluate with all this. I'm just going to say it. Put it on a platter, easy to anybody can do it. Paint by numbers, technology, and analytics, which real baseball knowledge that goes back accepts some of that and then rejects some of it. And when it comes to technology, you put that with real baseball knowledge, man, it's an unstoppable force. So, we got rid of baseball knowledge and we brought in people that don't have baseball knowledge. And so I think what she's really in is what you talked about, because we know her background in the two previous places isn't known for baseball knowledge. They're known for technology and biomechanics. That's got nothing to do with her. It's just where her background. So I think we're right. I think you're right on that. I think it has to do with skill sets. It has to do with leadership. It has to do with some connecting with players. I hope that's a strong suit because she's going to have to be able to do that. And she's, I do think in 2022, it's easier to get, gender buy-in from the players she's going to be around because it's just broader accepting, right? So I hope for her and I hope for the Yankees and for the players she's going to be around that she's wildly successful with what she does. It's a pretty big position. But there's direct is one thing, and the way those other groups have treated people is a little bit different, right? So there's going to need to be a little bit of a balance and a softening with players to get them to really buy in.
She also worked for the St. Louis Cardinals. She was with the Cardinals from 2012 to 2014. Johnson City, Appy League, she was the strength and conditioning coordinator there, the first time a woman had held that role in baseball. Now, she met with the New York media on Wednesday, and one of the questions asked of her was, how would she describe her leadership style? Here's what she said, this video courtesy of the New York Yankees.
I really think as a coach of young men or just young people in general, being direct and being clear about your standards and being clear about what you want is probably going to end up pretty well. Being honest and upfront is really kind of my style. And I think anyone who's worked with me or for me or whatever would agree with that, is that I'm pretty direct and just straightforward about what I want or how I feel about what's going on. And I think that, might be painful up front, but ultimately leads to really fast moving conversation about, things good or bad. So I would say my leadership style is definitely very direct.
Very direct. That is how she describes her leadership style. I think that works in whatever business. It doesn't just have to be baseball. So that was Rachel Balkovec describing her leadership style today to the New York media. Again, that video courtesy of the New York Yankees.
Good luck. It's a tough job. Good luck. I hope they have they give her the support she needs. And
well, you got to remember, she's in Tampa, right? So she's going to be there where everybody is, the Yankees complex.
Yeah, if this was the first time,
there's not a lot of media there in the Florida State League.
Zero
media covers that.
I hate to.
That will change. That will change though. That opening day, obviously.
Yeah, I hate to draw it this way because I really don't want to see it as any different. This was the first time, man, as a manager, I'd say the same thing. Like, good luck. You want me set up to succeed, not to fail. So, good luck. You are the first to do it, and there's some note in that. But as far as the doors you open for people behind you, like I said before, when you're the first to do anything, there's some added pressure there or some added visibility. But the ultimate telling a story is going to be being successful and if you have any ceiling in this side of it and going from there. That's what it's going to be.
Tampa Tarpons are low A. I'm looking here at the website. She's prominently featured on the front page. So that is the story of Rachel Balkovec as she was introduced. She was introduced on Wednesday officially as the manager of Class A Tampa. Jeremy, our last podcast, you said some things about the new recent hires of the Houston Astros. I was wondering, I asked you that day what you thought the Astros reaction would be. What has been the reaction of people around the game to what you said about how that you were vastly disappointed in the hirings, that it was basically analyst?
Yeah, same guy. Same guy. Same guy. Same guy. Same guy. Same guy. And what I got from what I heard was same guy, same guy, same guy. Absolutely correct. I got from somebody else that says disappointing. I got somebody else who says right on. I got somebody else who says spot on. The reality is, what is that?
I was trying to be fancy and put some Minute Maid video on there, but as we work through this platform,
the reality is,
I thought it was going to be really fancy, Jeremy.
The reality is
please
that,
start over, so that way we've got a good clip for the.
I don't want to discredit the people. Like I said in the last show, it's not like it's about one person here, right? They all might be very, very talented, and I really do hope they're very successful. And I think anybody in the game hopes they're successful because nobody wishes failure on anybody else. It's just, I mean, I guess the easiest way to sum it up would be rounds of applause, support, and people agreeing with the fact that they just hired the same guy, same person again and again and again and again. It's like there's like a Laverne and Shirley maybe, or I Love Lucy episode way back, where they have these like candies coming off or they're stamping stuff. It's like the same thing again. Oh, there's another one. Same clothes, same wardrobe, same barber, same razor. I mean, at what point are we going to turn the page and find somebody else that has? How about somebody with long hair? How about a couple of earrings in there, right? How about some? How about some different balance? How about somebody that comes to work in jean cutoffs? I mean, I know none of this works, but figure it out. Find some people with some background in a way that's different than yours. Like, it doesn't have to be. We think about diversity as different skin color, and yeah, that's what it should mean, is different, but it means different backgrounds. How about some people older than you? How about some people that are further younger than you? How about some people who are seasoned lifers? Why does it have to be everybody's got to be the same? Frankly, to me, that's boring, and it hasn't worked yet. But that's what we're going with here, right? So it's their organization, deserve to do what they want to do. It's vastly disappointing that we just hired the same guy again and again and again and again and again and again. That's like a broken record. So how's that? Not only did I say that last time, I'm doubling and tripling down right now. How about that? And the people around the game said, you know what? You're right. Because everybody has this hope. They have this hope that when you have an organization, right, and you have a chance to start this thing over, that you're going to start it and do what's good for the game. Those of us in this game, and there are thousands of people who have actually lived, bled, sweated, tried to run through walls, walk through fire, fought for it to be part of it, understand the game is bigger than you. And so you want the game to be better when you're done with it. When it's done with you, rather, because you can't pick these things, right? The game picks you. It's not the other way around. So when the game's done with you, you want to have left it better because nobody cares. They don't care about your name or the guy next to you. They care about the game as a whole. It will always march on. And so when you do something like this and it doesn't move the game forward, it's disappointing on levels that hurt people who genuinely love what the game is supposed to be. It's hard to realize that people are in positions in such a fan-connected, emotional, passionate subject that don't even like baseball. Man, it's really hard to swallow. And while, again, none of these guys in particular, and certainly not, I'm talking about all of them. Sarah, I'm talking about, Powers and none of them. I'm not talking about any of them. Individually, am I indicting when I say this? What I am saying is that they're interchangeable because they all think the same way. So they all resonate the same way. And so many of their peers are like that. It's hard not to look at them and think they're like that too. They deserve a chance to go ahead and prove it. But it is frustrating to watch when the game is treated like a science experiment by somebody who's more concerned with defensive runs saved than winning a championship. It's hard to swallow. So, I wish they're nothing but success, but I just tripled down on my comments, and you know what? Everybody else was okay with it too. So it's fine. Even if they weren't, I'd say it anyway. But yeah, rounds of applause.
All right. Time in the podcast where we go back to one of your former scouting reports and take a look back. Today, we're going back to 2012, a player you had ranked fairly high.
Yeah, I liked him.
Unfortunately, his professional career did not go as planned. He was out of baseball, released in 2017, and if I have this correct, never made it out of A-ball, which I find very interesting because, again, I'm looking at the comments that you wrote about him. Stryker Trahan, catcher from Louisiana. Grinder, competes, aggressive, resilient, major league leadership, The big thing about Stryker Trahan is he didn't hit. You thought a regular catcher in a major league role with all-star potential and impact behind the plate. Very athletic with an astronomically high ceiling, plus bat speed, hand strength combined with an improving all-fields approach and ability to consistently drive the baseball. Now, further down, you said all issues are fixable through technique. Possible vision concerns as well as some bouts of swing and miss and receiving issues will respond well to pro ball when he goes out and plays. Would consider at 3. He ended up going 26 to the Diamondbacks. And like I said, Jeremy, just never hit a career average. And I just had it and now it's gone, but a career average of 220.
Yeah, in A-ball. And so, look, you know, the thing about Stryker Trahan, I actually heard his name again last summer in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And he's married to, I want to say, a councilman or a police juror's daughter, right, out over there. And, you know, Stryker, I believe, lost his mom tragically to cancer and had some family issues that I'm not sure he ever bounced back from. Very, very strong family guy. I think he went out. I don't think he had the love for playing that we all might have thought he had. But the guy, it reminded me offensively. And at the time, I didn't write this, I don't think, but I certainly, you know, look at it now, of a Matt Noakes. But man, he was a plus runner. He could really throw. Wasn't sure he saw real well. Wasn't sure he saw the ball well. There were balls he did drop behind the plate. I thought he should have caught. There were balls he swung and missed at. He should have hit a long way. But you know, he had all the tools in the world, man. It just did not come together. And he went 26 in the draft. He didn't go 3. We took Mike Zunino. Kevin Gausman, of course, went right behind us, and that was Correa's year, and Buxton, you know, 1 and 2. So you know, top of the draft, he didn't fit. He did fit the back of the first round. Of course, he was selected there, but once he went out, it just all kind of went downhill from there.
Matt Noakes, huh?
Offensively, yeah. And I played with Noakesy at the end of his career, at the beginning of mine. It was pretty close.
Your comp here is physical player comparison. Pardon me, player comparison here. It is trying to do 2 things at once. Player comparison was the pride of the North, Ernie Witt.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you get the idea. Old school throwback catcher. That's kind of who he was, right? But yeah, it didn't work out. I mean, scouting is very hard. As many wins as we celebrate, we have far more losses. And Stryker was a guy that obviously the industry had some feel for. They liked him. The tools were evident. I was no different. I really liked him. Really did. Even now, going back, I liked him. I would write the same report at the time or today, even know how it turned out for what he could be. Obviously, wouldn't take him in the first round, knowing how it might turn out. But what he could be, the ceiling was pretty high.
All right. Well, I think that ends another Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth, as this podcast has now gone 29 minutes almost, Jeremy. It's amazing. We just go and go and go.
None of this is rehearsed for those of you that know how we do it. We literally talk right before we go on. We do this in the World Series. We do this in Sports Extra. We do this, you know, during Extra Bases. We do this for anything can. We just get on and do it, right? Just for the moment. Go. Facebook Live, just roll.
I got an itchy trigger finger here on this mouse. That's why we're bouncing all over. And we got Minute Maid drone video. I tried to dress it up today. It didn't work. We did get the Rachel Balkovec interview on, so that was good, and the intro worked. So yeah, so I think that wraps up another Extra Bases, and then we'll post this on YouTube, and we'll also post it on the iTunes and Podbean and all those other places you can get it. Anything else, Jeremy?
Nope.
All right, everybody.
Yeah.